Oh yeah. Look at that. I'm just so happy. It turned out exactly the way I wanted it to. Hey everybody, if you're new here, my name is Jeff, and on this channel we do everything pottery and lesson plans for teachers. In this video today, we're going to be looking at this $301 kiln from VEVOR. Now this will be my third video with this kiln. What we're going to do today is find out if this kiln can do the most popular, the hottest trend on the internet, Kathy McGuire's frozen pond technique. And if you don't know what that is, typically it's a 3 different glazes combination. And I don't have a jar of the first one, which is Amico's Obsidian. Can't believe I don't have a jar of it, but I'll put a picture up on the screen. And then it's followed by dots of running hot chowder from Spectrum. And on top, you put, so 2 coats of the dots. And on top of the whole thing, you put 1 coat, I guess some people do 2 coats of Amico's Iron Luster. And it's a really awesome, fun technique that you can really not mess up. The running hot chowder has a rutily titanium look to it, and it kind of pushes together and makes these awesome patterns and lines. If you haven't seen it, check it out on the internet. It's really cool. We're going to see if this kiln can do this. We're also going to be seeing if we can nail the perfect cone 6 temperature in this kiln. If you haven't watched my other videos, or if you haven't watched any other YouTubers' videos about it, the controller, the numbers seem to be a little bit off in my opinion, and several other people pointed it out. And there's no little port to put a cone in to check it and stop it at the right time. So we're going to see if we can nail the perfect cone 6 on the display here. What temperature is the perfect cone 6? If you have not used running hot chowder before, it is not the most user-friendly glaze in the world, and I'm for sure going to be making a video, I'm making it right now, on how to make it better. But it is very runny and it hard pans, so definitely get a mixture and mix it all the way up. Otherwise, you're just going to be using the water on the top of it. Mix it up really good with that blender, or get down there with the fork or a spoon or a paintbrush and get all that junk off the bottom and make sure it's mixed really thoroughly before you start using it. Every single glaze in the Amico Sell It Online that I've tried looks amazing with the frozen pond technique. I've never used Snapdragon before, but every other glaze has looked amazing, so I think it'll look awesome with the red. I'm putting 2 coats of the red on the top 2/3 and 3 coats on the bottom 1/3. And that is because I'm only going to put the running hot chowder on the top 2/3 in case it runs. Now with frozen pond, you're going to put dots all over it. You can do any shapes. They don't have to be dots. You can do octagons, triangles. You can be super clean with them, or you can be random. But you're going to see me placing it on the top 2/3 of this cup only. And I leave that bottom 1/4 without any dots on it. And the reason why I do that is because this is a very fluid process. This glaze is going to run, it's going to spread out, it's going to move. And it's people typically do it on like flatter plates or platters or bowls where it stays in place. But this is kind of risky doing it on a vertical surface. And so that's why I'm going to keep it away from that bottom 1/4. And you're going to see me put on the iron luster. And again, I don't go all the way down to the bottom with that. I'm going to put it over all the dots, but I don't go all the way to the bottom, and that's for the same reason. So Snapdragon, the base glaze, is what we call like a stable glaze. It doesn't move, it doesn't run, it doesn't go anywhere. It just stays put. And the iron luster and the running hot chowder together, well, they flow like crazy. So we leave that bottom 1/3 of just the stable Snapdragon to kind of be like a catch or a landing pad for the other 2 running ones. So that's why you see me only doing the top 2/3 like that. First, we're going to put our cookie. This is a cookie. If you don't know what a cookie is, it's just a piece of fired clay that's going to protect the bottom of the kiln. We're going to put our pot on top of that. And that, if the pot does run, then the cookie will catch it, and any damage that will happen to the cookie and not to the kiln. This right here is our cone. So this is a cone 6, and I'm going to try to put it, you don't want to put it this way because it'll melt onto the pot. So I'm going to try to arrange this where it'll melt but not hit the kiln or the pot. So I think right there is about as far as I can push it, and it should melt and land about there, which shouldn't interfere with the kiln nor the pot. So this is the part of the video where I tell you things did not go as I planned. I had to go through several firings and a lot of learning, but we finally did it to get to the nice, perfect frozen pond, which I think this one came out amazing. And but I want to share with you my failures so you can learn from it. Now, to achieve the perfect cone 6, I thought it was just going to be as easy as peeking in the door and watching the cone go down. I was so wrong. So I did that. I fired it up. I had this piece, I had a glaze, as you saw, peeking open the door, watching the cone 6 fall. Eventually cone 6 fell. But when I opened up the kiln, it was under fired. Even though cone 6 had flattened, it was under fired. And what happened was parts that were against the wall, the bottom of the pot, the glaze on the inside of the pot wasn't shiny. It was bubbly and it was matte. It wasn't fired yet. And so what happened was parts of the kiln got to cone 6, but since it goes up so fast, it didn't have time to even out. So I thought what I could do is just add a hole at the peak temperature. Just put it back in the kiln, put a fresh new cone in there, fire it up to peak temperature. Not the case. It totally cooked this thing. The frozen pond has completely run down the pot. It does not look good at all. And you can't see it, but I can see it right here. It is completely see-through. It has got fired so hot that it cooked it all the way through, and this porcelain is basically glass at this point, and the glaze is completely fluid. So what I ended up doing, and I have a whole separate video on this, so I'm gonna leave it in the cards right here, and at the end of the video, definitely go watch that video on how I achieved the perfect cone 6. But basically, I did a hold at 50 degrees below peak temperature just to let the kiln even out, just to let everything get heated all the way through, much like you would cook brownies up to temperature, hold them at that temperature for a little bit longer. And then I did a small hold at the peak temperature, 10-minute hold, which I did achieve the perfect cone 6, and I'm gonna leave the schedule right on the screen right here. You can screenshot it. We did end up achieving the perfect frozen pond, so watch to the end and you can see how to do it. We're gonna do it in both the automatic and the manual versions of the VEVOR Kiln. Now it's time to put all that new knowledge to use, and I switched to obsidian at this point. I just wasn't really happy with that Snapdragon. In the thumbnail and in the pictures I showed of the red pot that looked really amazing, that was Mako's Gloss Red. Anyway, I just put on the running hot chowder and the iron luster, just like before, and then I decided to make a test tile. You can see on one side I'm using C20 cobalt, and on the other side deep fire brick. Then I'm going to load it into the kiln right here, put the cone in, and the test tile in. All we have to do now is fire it up. We're going to start our first ramp at 80 degrees. After holding 80 degrees for 10 minutes, we're going to go up to 200 degrees and hold that for 10 minutes, then 500, hold that for 10 minutes, and then 1050, and finally 1100, and hold 1100 for 10 minutes, which will go up to cone 6. When you go to shut your kiln down, I wouldn't just flip the switch off. Sure, it will shut it down, but it will also shut off the fan. And I think that fan needs to be going to cool down the board, because the kiln's still going to radiate some heat towards it. So what I recommend you doing is just hitting the P button, and then you can see the equal sign went away. So that tells us the kiln is no longer firing. And then just wait a couple minutes to verify by the temperature dropping. It should drop pretty fast at this high temperature. See, it's already dropped 2 degrees there. And then once you feel confident where it's actually going to shut off, then you can just make sure there's nothing flammable around the kiln, and then you can go away. You can see it's dropping pretty rapidly now. So we're all done. We're going to come back in the morning and see what we got. All right, we're going to crack it open, see how it looks. Oh yeah, it looks good. All right, let me bring it in here. I really like this blue one too. Look at how nice that looks. Sweet. A little slightly under fired. Probably about a cone 5, hard cone 5. Maybe want to add 5 degrees onto that temperature. That looks amazing. I am so pleased with these results. Look at that color in there. Look at behind the handle, looks amazing. I'm just so happy. It turned out exactly the way I wanted it to. I love the amount of flow we got. I feel like it's just about the right amount of flow, and the frozen pond technique just looks incredible. So it was a lot of work to get here, but the results definitely certainly are worth it. Now here's the test tile we had in the kiln. I'm not so sold on this deep fire brick one, but that C20 cobalt glaze, absolutely incredible. I think our next one, we're gonna try it in the automatic kiln, and we'll do the C20 cobalt glaze on there. That looks amazing. VEVOR recently sent me their automatic version of this kiln, and I'll have a full review coming out of that really soon, so you're definitely going to want to subscribe to that. But let's see if it can frozen pond. We're rocking the Amico Cobalt C20 base on this frozen pond with the running hot chowder and the iron luster on top. So here's what we got. The kiln is already at 100 and some degrees because I've just finished firing it. So I'm basically going to skip this first section. We're going to put that down to 0. And our next section is 120, then 200 for 10 minutes, 300 for 10 minutes, 500 for 10 minutes, 550 for 10 minutes, 600 for 10 minutes, 1090 for 10 minutes, and then 1145 for 10 minutes. So this one fires a little bit cooler than the manual kiln. And to start it, we're going to long press B. All right, let's see what we got in the kiln. Oh yeah, look at that. Look at that. I love it. Little under fired. That's probably definitely cone 5. Hard cone 5, but not quite cone 6. But that doesn't seem to matter because the glaze looks amazing. Wow, look at that. I love this so much. I'd call this perfect. Look at those patterns. Look at the depth of the color. This is absolutely what we were going for. Wow. Well, that little kiln, get that perfect glaze. Now it is a little under fired, but that doesn't seem to affect the glaze. It looks perfect. That soak, that hold there seems to have matured the glaze. It looks perfect. Just my little disclaimer here, just because these temperatures work for me does not mean they're going to work for you. These kilns, between the automatic and the manual kiln, were about 30 to 40 degrees difference from each other. And several of you commented on my videos saying that yours either fired hotter than mine or cooler than mine. So you're gonna wanna test first. Always test, never test with your best piece. Test with something that you don't like and make sure the temperatures work for you, and then you can adjust them as is. Also, never, ever, ever open the kiln like I did at high temperatures. I did that purely for science, purely for learning. I did it at my own risk. And these kilns are very dangerous when you open them like that. They're not intended to do that. And I'm sure it will shorten the life of your kiln, and it could potentially cause injury. So definitely don't do that. VEVOR did send me both of these kilns, but they're not paying me to say any of these. All my opinions and insights about these kilns are my own and were not influenced by VEVOR in any shape or form. However, I do have an affiliate link if you'd like to get one of these. The automatic one, in my opinion, is 100% worth the extra $80 or $90 or whatever it costs. And I do have a 5% coupon in the description if you'd like to get one. Also, I will have both of these pots in my Etsy store, and you can use code YouTube to get 10% off of these or any other item in my Etsy store. I just want to say sincerely that I do appreciate you watching. I appreciate all of your enthusiasm, all of your comments, all of your excitement, and it keeps me going. So keep those comments coming. I love them, and I'll see you on the next video. If you haven't seen the Raku video, it was so much fun. I'm going to put that at the end, as well as the detailed video on how to get a perfect cone 6 at the end of this video. And I will see you on the next one. Have the best day ever.